Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about what screams or what hints that somebody is a mediocre programmer. So let's get into it. So the question in question is, to be precise, Frederick, what makes you, or what screams I'm a mediocre programmer about somebody, like whatever they're doing, right? And this is a fairly straightforward question, actually. You may think that this is something that is tricky, but I think that for me, this is a question that I think I can answer this. So basically, the thing that I'm going to argue here is that a person who has a mediocre quality as a programmer is the sort of individual that has a linear value to the company that they are working for. Let me explain. So, being a programmer overall, it is of course a factor that you need to have skills. That's a factor. It's always going to be a factor. But there is this idea which is it's like for almost every single programmer out there, this is completely false. There is this idea some people have that you can just as an island become the 10x programmer, that you yourself can just become this amazingly productive supercoder that just outpaces everybody else and just writes solutions that are genius and so forth. And in some cases this is true, but the thing is that this is not true. It's not true for the vast majority of people. Even the most genius programmers in the world cannot and have not achieved a mastery of programming that is so vastly greater than their peers that they can weigh up that they can basically sit down and do the job of two of these people. There is this notion, and I don't really get that. I think that it is because people have this tendency to only see the end result of something. That a person who invents a tool that becomes immensely popular or something that we acknowledge within the programming community, that they are some type of overhuman, like superhuman being or something like that. That's not usually the case. Usually the case is that they fuck up enough, they have a good idea, and then and they fuck up enough until it actually works. I mean, it's not like they wrote it on one try and then it's done, right? So there is a limit to how good you can be as an individual person, and that limitation is there for every human being. It's kind of like different capacities of batteries that you can charge them all up, but and some of them are going to be chargeable for like quite a lot of power, and some are going to be less chargeable. But that's the general mindset I want you to take away from this, or to have with you here. So you can, as an individual, get to a certain level. You have a certain level of potential, and no matter how hard you work, you will reach that potential at some point. It's the same thing with athletes. You can't just continue training forever and ever and just continuously become better. There is a physical limitation to how good you can get, right? Most people don't get there, but you can. So that is something that we need to accept. And the thing that distinguishes a mediocre programmer from a really skilled one in my world here is that their perspective on their craft is that they simply concern themselves with what it is that they are doing. Basically what a mediocre programmer does, and I see this all the time, this is the thing that makes you have no idea how much of a difference this makes when it comes to salary discussion time, career discussion time, or when you're going to lay off people. The people who almost exclusively always get laid off or get passed over for promotions and so forth are the people who literally do this. They go to their job every single day. They don't really care so much about the discussions about the future of the company or what's like the system design or anything like that. They basically just come in, they just want to know what they're supposed to be doing. Like they get told that, oh, these are the stories that you need to do, and then they just want to sit down and plug in their earphones and just work. These are the mediocre programmers, and the reason why they are mediocre is not because they don't have the skills to do the work. It's that they will never ever produce more value than a person who has a broader perspective on things. That's the thing that distinguishes a truly valuable programmer from a mediocre one. because if you add such a programmer to your roster of programmers, you will get one unit of improvement of that person. It's like, and you can add more of these people, but it's a linear return on investment. If you want an exponential return on investment, you need to add people who will actually not only raise the value of, like, not only produce the value that it's required of them as an individual, but they also need to be the sort of people who can actually knowledge share, who can help others raise their skill awareness and the overall quality of the code base. These are the people who take a responsibility and they take ownership of the project that they work on, and they actually contribute to the company. A good way of measuring it is how much impact do they actually have on the company. Because the more impact you have, in other words, the more people that depend on you and the more questions that you can answer and the more intimate your knowledge of the system, the more valuable and critical you become to the company and the success of the projects that you are working on. If you're just one person who is writing code, you are fairly easy to replace, in relative terms, of course, to programmers. But that is the truth of the matter. It's easy to replace such an individual because they don't really put all that much value into the projects. So what I want you to take away from this is that a mediocre programmer, the way that you spot these people is that they simply focus on their coding and they don't really concern themselves with anything else. Their entire, they're not really interested in anything and to evolve themselves, to adopt new tooling, or to make sure that they have the answers to questions. They don't have this healthy curiosity necessarily. It's the best way I can describe it is that they're there to do their job. That's pretty much it. They don't really want to do anything else. They're just there to do their thing. And there are plenty of places where the people like that get hired every single day, but they will never ever get to be a true master programmer because they lack that critical thing that critical thing that makes the difference between a great programmer and a mediocre one, and that is that you have the desire to not only interact with people and improve yourself, but also to take responsibility for the things that you are working on. You take ownership, you feel a connection to the work that you do, and that flair, you can't train that. It's not possible to train that. Have a great day.